What constitutes a good life has always been debated by the brightest minds of the world using literature as their battleground. Coming from the ancient world, the Book of Job and the Epic of Gilgamesh, following the classical periods, Plato's Allegory of the Cave, and finishing with a look into more modern times with Shakespeare's Hamlet and A Simple Heart by Gustave Flaubert.
Job is the only biblical selection. According to Job, a life well lived is one that honors God. Therefore, even when harm befalls Job, he praises the Lord. Job 121 illustrates this concept when Job says, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Later, after Job has suffered through many atrocities, his friends give him unwise counsel, telling him to forget the God who has wronged him. Job's response in Job 28:28, "And he said to the man, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding." This response demonstrates the wisdom that echoes throughout the entirety of the book. On the other hand, the Epic of Gilgamesh moves away from glorifying God and moves to the glorification of man.
In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh searches for a means of gaining immortality and fails. But when he returns home, he tells his companion to inspect the city walls, which were the work of Gilgamesh the king. Gilgamesh's change in direction from seeking immortality to concentrating on the city that he built illustrates how the story's theme of that which we leave behind is how we can live on forever, since the city will last well beyond the life of Gilgamesh. Furthermore, when Gilgamesh is described, he is described as he who knew the countries of the world, he who was wise, he who saw mysteries and knew secret things, he who brought the people a tale of the days before the flood, he who went on a long journey, was weary, worn out with labor, and returning engraved on a stone the whole story. It further demonstrates the idea that the accomplishments of a person are what matters. Consequently, the Epic of Gilgamesh uses the praise that Gilgamesh receives for his feats and deeds as a means of saying that a life well lived is one full of legendary accomplishments that will be told for generations.
A life well lived is a life that possesses knowledge and enlightenment, according to Plato in his Allegory of the Cave. The people are chained up in darkness, their heads immobilized. The prisoners unable to see things as they really are in their unenlightened state. From the beginning, people like this have never managed, whether on their own or with the help of others, to see anything besides the shadows that are projected on the wall opposite them. One of the prisoners is taken to the surface where he can see the light and is transformed into an enlightened individual. Knowledge is seen as more important than anything, according to Plato, for living well. Would not he or she much rather wish for the condition Homer speaks of, namely to live on the land, that is, in the light, as the paid menial of another destitute peasant? It is better to be a peasant servant than to live without enlightenment. A much different view about mortality and not wisdom comes from Hamlet.
Hamlet never directly models what a life well lived is. However, throughout the play it is made clear that a life well lived is one which corrects the wrongs of the world. The heroes of the story are always working to undo what those presented as the villains have done. From the beginning, Hamlet's father returns to him as a ghost and orders him to commit regicide. "I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast and fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burned and purged away." Later in the conversation, he commands Hamlet to revenge his most foul and unnatural murder. Hamlet is mortally wounded in the successful act of regicide. With his dying breath, he attempts to right one final wrong by giving his kingdom to a rival prince who is wronged by Hamlet's own father. He says, "Oh, I die, Horatio, the potent poison quit o'ercrows my spirit, I cannot live to hear the news from England. But I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. He has my dying voice. So tell him, with the occurrence more and less which are solicited, the rest is silence." Moving from justification through morality, we see a simple heart, where hard work is what counts.
A simple heart puts a magnifying glass on the life of a simple woman who in the beginning of the story leads a good life. A good life, according to Gustave, is achieved when led by someone who takes pride in their work and loves those around them. Their success is self-made. Félicité was not in the ideal position to live a good life, but she made the most of her situation and was able to be successful. Madame Aubaine's servant Félicité was the envy of the ladies of Pont-l'Évêque for half a century. She received £4 a year. For that she was a general servant, and she remained faithful to her mistress. Towards the end of her life is no longer viewed as well lived in that moment, and this was a result of her not working as much as she had in the past, so she couldn't make her life good. When her parrot died, she wept so much that her mistress said to her, "Well, then have him stuffed," which shows that when her parrot died, it was like she lost a part of herself.
Ultimately, each piece holds something true within it. Having a legacy is important, as Job has many children to carry his name, which is a blessing from the Lord. Furthermore, wisdom comes from God and is highly sought after by Job. Moreover, Hamlet's morality calls people towards a higher standard of behavior, just as faith in God does. Finally, both Job and A Simple Heart promote the idea of hard work, but Job teaches that unless God is the focus of that hard work, it will only amount to vanity.